going on, everybody? Welcome into the Bulls Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about the latest trade rumors we are hearing around Ayo Dosunmu and the Los Angeles Lakers. Apparently, the Lakers front office are big fans of his, and they are calling the Chicago Bulls. And then also, I know I've been very negative around this basketball team, and for right reason, in my opinion. But on the second half of today's show, I do want to go over 5 ways the Bulls can just turn it around and get back to the top of the Eastern Conference. Now, before we dive into it, I do want to give a massive shout out to all the real ones who have hit that subscribe button over the last couple of days. We're already at 12,704 subs, but we're closing in on 13K here. So if you guys could hit that subscribe button today, we'll keep you guys posted with everything around Josh Giddey, this whole Bulls team. So hit that sub button if you want daily Bulls content here on YouTube. All right, let's talk about it. So Ayo Dosunmu, we've heard him and Coby White's name thrown out in the latest NBA trade rumors, and Ayo has been connected to the Los Angeles Lakers when he was working out for them. When he was coming out of college. But it was actually Anthony Irwin of Clutch Points, a Lakers insider, who had this the other day, saying sources say Matisse Thybulle, Marcus Smart, and Ayo Dosunmu and others are names the Lakers have had preliminary conversations with teams about availability and price, though no offers have been made. And, from the Lakers side of things, this does make a lot of sense. They are obviously a poor defensive team, just with their top players being Luka, LeBron at this point in his career. Now they just got DeAndre Ayton, not the best defensive center, but they definitely need a point of attack defender. And that's what Ayo is, a guy who is great in transition, can be that top of a pretty damn good defense. Ayo has done that, even dating back to college. He was a great defender, and he's a guy who can knock down the corner three at a very high rate. And obviously when it's a Luka Doncic-led offense, he gets in that paint, and he's just spraying out the shooters. So Ayo would be a seamless fit. But on the Bulls side of things, I got some thoughts there. But, Ayo over the last 4 years, we have seen the development, and we've seen him really come into his own. Now, obviously the three-point shooting, it's kind of, every other year, literally for Ayo. Back in his rookie year, 37.5%, then dropped down to 31. Last year in 23, 40%, and then this most recent year in 24, back down to 32.8%. And, to trade Ayo, and I'm not saying the Bulls are going to need to get 3 or 4 first-round picks or a Desmond Bane package to trade Ayo, but I would have to be blown away by a trade offer. This would be something where it's 2 first-round picks, maybe Dalton Connect from the Lakers, and then, I would have some interest in that deal. But I still think Ayo, if I had to say, some of the guys on this Bulls roster that I don't want to move, Ayo is one of them. He plays both ways. He plays the game the right way. He's just a winning basketball player. So I would have some, just some hesitancy on, trading Ayo at any point this offseason. But, Casey Johnson also said this on the Bulls' latest trade rumors, saying, I can report with pretty strong certainty that I have heard Ayo Dosunmu's name mentioned in chatter far more than Coby White. That is not to say that Coby White will not be dealt, but I will be surprised if he is. And, I would be very disappointed in the Bulls if they elected, let's just say they have the same trade package out there for Ayo and Coby White. I know a lot of people will say Coby White's a better player than Ayo. I can hear that argument, but I think for the long-term future for the Bulls, and especially with, how they're trying to play, being a transition team, and, getting some really strong defenders around Josh Giddey, that is Ayo way more than Coby White. Now, I would love Coby White if he was the sixth man for the Bulls, and he, was maybe making, after his new deal, $14, $15 million, but that's not going to be the case. He's going to get paid 23, 24, even potentially a $27 million per year deal. And Ayo, I think you could keep him around that $14, $15 million range. And that's why, when I say untouchables here, I don't mean if Giannis is on the table, I'd be open to trading any of these guys, maybe besides Buzelis. I'm a huge boozy guy, but I would consider Ayo an untouchable on this Bulls team. And, Josh Giddey, even though I wouldn't really consider him an untouchable player, but every move the Bulls have made, they have made it clear that he is untouchable. But I will say, knowing this Bulls front office and knowing how they've been acting over the last couple of years, I got a feeling Ayo will be traded for Dalton Connect in 2 seconds. And we're going to be, again, furious with the trade package we get back for one of our young, up-and-coming, talented players. But I don't know. I would not trade Ayo unless you could get maybe a first rounder, maybe multiple first, and a young player. But if it's Dalton Connect in 2 seconds, I'm absolutely saying no to that deal. And that's a trade that a lot of Lakers fans have been throwing out there. But if that's a deal, I would say no. But let me ask you guys this. Let's just say the trade package is equal. Coby White or Ayo Dosunmu. Who would you rather trade? Give me a 0 for Coby White or give me 11 for Ayo. I am no doubt saying Coby White for this one. And it's nothing against Coby. I just think Ayo is a way better fit for this Bulls team. But you guys let me know your thoughts down below. Coming up next year on the program, I do want to talk about 5 ways that the Bulls can just turn this thing around because we are stuck in purgatory. It's a tough time to be a Bulls fan, so I'll try to get some optimism on the back half of today's show. But before we do so, we do have a sweet deal for you Bulls fans where this t-shirt combo is $20 off right now. If you guys have the chatsports.com/Bulls combo, normally they're $49.99, but right now if you use this link, they're $29.99. So I have that link for you guys in the comments and description of today's show, but chatsports.com/Bulls combo. All right, so the first way, how do you fix the Bulls? You just got to find that guy. And Mark Eversley and Arturis, they've talked about it. They need to find that true number one, that guy who's going to be the face of the franchise. And, all of us Bulls fans, we're hoping that's Modest Buzelis because even though Josh Giddey, I think, is the best player on the Bulls right now, I think Buzelis by far has the highest potential. The kid is still 20 years old. He looks great so far in the practice clips I've seen on Twitter. He's got a brand new frame. He added some muscle on there. So, again, and that's why the purgatory zone is so tough in the NBA is like it's tough to find that guy because you're not getting a top 5 pick. You're picking around 11 to 12 every single year, and you're just kind of shooting darts, hoping one of them lands on finding that superstar player. Now, maybe the Bulls got lucky last draft with Buzelis falling 11, and he ends up being that guy. But how do you fix the Bulls? You got to get that true number one. You got to get that top 10 player in the league, or else it's just hard to compete for championships. But number 2, you got to hope Josh Giddey develops here, and specifically just the three-point shot and defensively. And we saw that improvement over the last 19 games, the post-All-Star break. But again, that was a small sample size. And I also would love to see Giddey maybe get more of a mid-range game, get more of a push shot, which he showed in spots when you're coming off that pick and roll. He can get to that floater, but just to be more of a true scorer, have more of a go-to move he can get to. Maybe when the offense is stalling out, Buzelis is having a bad night where Giddey can kind of take some of that offensive load. So to seeing him develop will be huge. And then also finding a defensive-minded center. I still, one of my favorite centers of all time was Clint Capella when he was with the Rockets, where he was protecting the rim. He was that lob threat for James Harden. That's the archetype of player I think would be perfect at the 5 for the Bulls. You have a guy like Josh Giddey who can throw those lobs at a high level. And plus, when you do have a guy like Josh Giddey, you're going to get beat off the dribble a lot. So having that anchor of a defense, a guy who can protect the rim, that's why if Malwatch was somehow there at 12, that would have been an auto pick for me for the Bulls. But find a defensive-minded center and also pick a lane. And this has been my biggest problem with the Bulls because they're still trying to win games, but they're also still trying to build for the future, fully commit to the future because there are no moves the Bulls can make over the next 2 seasons that can get them to compete in the Eastern Conference. But they can compete in 3, 4, 5 years if they pick a lane, they embrace the tank, embrace the suck a little bit. And then what if you end up next draft with the 3rd pick and you get Cam Boozer? And then it's all right, you got Cam Boozer, Buzelis, Giddey, Ayo. You go find a defensive-minded center. That's a pretty solid starting 5. You could pick one up in free agency. Bulls got, $85 million in expiring contracts. But pick a lane, get out of the purgatory zone, and lastly here, Jerry just sells the damn team. Please, please, please. Jerry Reinsdorf, just sell the Bulls. And also, I was an ownership group. Bill Simmons was talking about it. The Bulls are a sleeping giant. If you buy the Bulls right now, when they're at a very low point in their franchise, and you get them back to competing in the East, that place will be jumping. You'll be selling a lot of merch. You'll be selling a lot of tickets. So, Jerry, sell the team. But those are 5 ways that the Bulls could potentially turn it around. But I'll ask you guys this. What is one thing the Bulls need to do? You guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. If I had to pick one thing, just find a defensive-minded center. I think that archetype of big is perfect next to Josh Giddey, Ayo, Buzelis. But you guys let me know your thoughts. What is one thing the Bulls need to do? And also hit that subscribe button on your way out. Really appreciate all the real ones who have hit that sub button over the last couple of weeks. But if you guys want more Bulls content, hit that subscribe button today. And we'll see you guys next time. As always, go Bulls.